What's going on, everyone? And welcome back. So, you finally did it. After hours of questing, running dungeons, learning your class, and fighting your way through Conquest of Azeroth, you've finally reached max level. First of all, congratulations. Reaching max level is a huge milestone. But here's something that surprises a lot of new players. Max level isn't the finish line. It's actually where the game truly begins. I've seen this happen over and over again. Players hit max level, look around for a few minutes, and suddenly ask themselves, now what? Do you jump straight into Mythic dungeons? Should you start raiding? Do professions matter now? Should you farm better gear? What activities are actually worth your time? And which ones can you safely ignore? The truth is, Conquest of Azeroth gives you a lot of freedom once you reach the endgame. That freedom is great, but it can also feel overwhelming. Without a clear plan, it's easy to waste hours doing content that barely helps your character progress. So in today's guide, I'm going to walk you through exactly what I recommend doing after reaching max level. We'll cover the best order to tackle endgame systems, how to gear efficiently, what activities should become part of your weekly routine, and the biggest mistakes that slow down progression. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap that takes you from a fresh max level character to someone who's ready for Mythic dungeons, raids, PvP, and everything else the game has to offer. Let's get started. Step 1. Don't rush into the hardest content. The very first thing I want to tell every new max level player is this. Take a breath. It's incredibly tempting to queue for the hardest content available as soon as you ding max level. After all, that's what you've been working toward. But jumping into difficult endgame activities while undergeared and unfamiliar with your class usually leads to frustration for you and for your group. Instead, spend a little time getting comfortable with your character at max level. Your rotation may have changed since the early levels. You might have unlocked important talents or abilities. Your stat priorities may also be different now. This is the perfect time to practice. Run easier content. Fight world enemies. Experiment with your talents. Get comfortable with your keybinds. The more confident you are with your class, the smoother your progression into harder content will be. Remember, a strong foundation always beats rushing ahead. Step 2. Start building your first endgame gear set. Now it's time to improve your equipment. One mistake that many players make is thinking they need perfect gear before joining any endgame activity. That's simply not true. Your goal isn't perfection. Your goal is steady progression. Start by replacing any weaker leveling pieces with upgrades from max level activities. World quests, normal dungeons, heroic dungeons, and introductory endgame content are all excellent places to begin. As you collect better equipment, pay attention to more than just item level. Higher numbers are nice, but the right secondary stats often make a bigger difference than people realize. If your specialization benefits heavily from haste, don't automatically replace a well-itemized piece just because another item has a slightly higher level. Understanding your stat priorities will make your gearing much more efficient. Another tip is to avoid comparing your character to players who have been at max level for months. Everyone starts somewhere. Focus on improving your own character one upgrade at a time. You'll be surprised how quickly your gear improves when you're consistently completing content. Step 3. Learn your endgame rotation. Max level often changes how your class feels. Many specializations unlock talents, passives, or ability combinations that weren't available while leveling. That means the rotation you've been using for the past 20 or 30 levels might not be the one you'll use in raids or Mythic dungeons. Spend time learning your complete toolkit. Practice weaving your cooldowns together. Understand which abilities should always have priority. Learn when to save burst cooldowns instead of pressing them immediately. This practice doesn't have to happen inside difficult content. In fact, it's usually better if it doesn't. The more natural your rotation becomes outside of raids, the easier it will be to focus on mechanics during challenging encounters. Step 4. Decide what type of endgame you enjoy. One of the best things about Conquest of Azeroth is that there isn't just one way to play after reaching max level. Some players love Mythic dungeons. Others spend most of their time raiding. Some focus almost entirely on PvP. Others enjoy collecting gear, making gold, leveling professions, or experimenting with different builds. That's why I recommend asking yourself one simple question. What do I actually enjoy doing? If you enjoy small group content, Mythic dungeons should become one of your priorities. If you like large coordinated encounters, raids are the natural next step. If competitive gameplay excites you, PvP offers endless opportunities to improve. There's no wrong answer. The important thing is building your progression around the activities you genuinely enjoy. Doing content because you have fun will always keep you motivated longer than chasing rewards you don't care about. So now you've reached max level. You're improving your gear. You're learning your rotation. And you've decided which type of in-game content interests you the most. Next, let's talk about the systems that many players overlook. Professions, reputation, gold making, and the weekly activities that can dramatically speed up your progression. Those often make a much bigger difference than people expect. Step 5. Don't ignore professions. One of the biggest mistakes new players make after reaching max level is completely ignoring professions. I understand why. After spending dozens of hours leveling, the last thing most people want to do is gather materials or craft items. But professions can become one of your greatest long-term advantages. Depending on the profession you choose, you can create valuable gear, useful consumables, enhancements, or simply earn a steady amount of gold. Even if crafting isn't your favorite activity, gathering professions are worth considering. Every vein, every herb, every resource you collect can be sold to other players who don't want to spend time farming. That means you're making progress even while exploring the world. Another benefit is independence. Imagine preparing for a raid. Instead of buying every potion, flask, or enchant from the auction house, you can make many of those items yourself. That saves gold over time and makes you less dependent on the economy. If you haven't picked professions yet, now is the perfect time. Step 6. Start building a reliable gold income. Let's talk about something every player eventually needs. Gold. At max level, gold becomes much more important than it was while leveling. Repairs, consumables, crafting materials, enchantments, mounts, auction house purchases. Everything starts costing more. That's why creating a consistent source of income should be one of your early priorities. The good news is, you don't need to become one of the richest players on the server. You simply need enough gold to comfortably support your in-game activities. One of the easiest methods is combining your daily gameplay with gold making. If you're already running dungeons, loot everything. Sell valuable materials. Check the auction house before vendoring items. Small amounts add up surprisingly quickly. If you enjoy gathering professions, spend a little time collecting resources between activities. High-demand crafting materials almost always have value because other players constantly need them. The biggest mistake you can make is spending every coin the moment you earn it. Save your gold for upgrades that genuinely improve your character. Smart spending is just as important as making gold. Step 7. Build your weekly routine. One of the secrets to consistent progression is having a routine. Many players log in, look around for 5 minutes, and then ask themselves, what should I do today? That uncertainty often leads to wasting time. Instead, create a simple checklist. For example, when you log in, start by completing your weekly objectives. Run your available dungeons. Complete any important world activities. Check for reputation rewards. Work on your professions. Then, if you still have time, move on to farming gear, experimenting with new builds, or helping friends. Having a routine means you always know what your next goal is. You spend less time deciding and more time progressing. Remember, Endgame isn't about making one huge leap forward. It's about making small improvements every week. Those improvements stack faster than most people realize. Step 8. Start running in-game dungeons. Once you've improved your gear and become comfortable with your specialization, it's time to start tackling more difficult dungeons. This is where many players begin learning the habits they'll use in Mythic content. Focus on more than just damage. Practice interrupting dangerous enemy casts. Use your defensive abilities before incoming damage. Help your teammates whenever possible. Position yourself correctly. These habits become second nature over time. Another important tip. Don't become discouraged if your first few runs feel challenging. Every experienced player remembers their first difficult dungeon. Everyone made mistakes. Everyone learned through experience. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is improvement. Each run teaches something new. Step 9. Prepare yourself for raiding. Eventually, many players set their sights on raids. Raids are where teamwork really begins to matter. Unlike leveling, where you can often rely only on yourself. Raids require coordination, preparation, communication. Before joining your first raid, make sure you've done a few things. Understand your rotation. Bring food and consumables. Repair your gear. Learn the basic mechanics of each boss. And most importantly, arrive with the mindset of learning. Nobody expects a new player to perform perfectly. What groups appreciate is someone who's willing to improve. Being prepared instantly makes a better first impression than simply having slightly better gear. Step 10. Find a good guild or community. This might be the single biggest piece of advice in the entire guide. Find people to play with. Conquest of Azeroth becomes a completely different experience when you're part of an active community. Good guilds don't just help you clear content. They answer questions, share builds, explain mechanics, help with gearing, and make the game much more enjoyable overall. If you're constantly relying on random groups, progression can sometimes feel inconsistent. Having a regular group of players makes learning in-game content significantly easier. Don't be afraid to introduce yourself. Ask questions. Join community events. Some of the best friendships in MMORPGs start with something as simple as running one dungeon together. At this point, you're earning gold. You're improving your gear. You're completing your weekly activities. You're running in-game dungeons. And you're preparing for raids. You're well on your way to becoming an established in-game player. But before we finish this guide, let's go over the biggest mistakes players make after reaching max level, how to avoid them, and the roadmap I personally recommend following if you want to progress as efficiently as possible. Step 11. The biggest mistakes players make after reaching max level. By this point, you've probably realized that reaching max level is just the beginning of your adventure. But before you dive headfirst into every piece of in-game content, let's go over the biggest mistakes that hold so many players back. Avoiding these alone can save you dozens of hours. Mistake number 1. Trying to do everything at once. One of the most common mistakes is feeling like you need to complete every activity the game offers. You log in and see dungeons, raids, PvP, professions, world content, reputation, events, gold farming, and suddenly, it feels overwhelming. The truth is, you don't need to do everything every day. Instead, focus on a few meaningful goals. Maybe today you're working on gearing. Tomorrow you spend time on professions. Later in the week, you raid with your guild. Breaking your progression into smaller goals makes the game far more enjoyable. Mistake number 2. Constantly switching classes. I completely understand the temptation. You watch a YouTube video. Someone says another class is the new meta. Suddenly you're thinking about re-rolling. But here's the thing. Most players don't struggle because they picked the wrong class. They struggle because they never stick with one class long enough to master it. Learning your cooldowns. Optimizing your rotation. Understanding encounters. All of that comes with experience. Before abandoning your main, give yourself enough time to truly learn it. You might be surprised how much stronger your class feels once you understand it. Mistake number 3. Chasing item level instead of knowledge. Gear is important, no question about it. But gear alone doesn't clear difficult content. Understanding mechanics, knowing when to use cooldowns, positioning correctly, communicating with your team. Those skills will always matter more than a few extra points of item level. Some of the best players aren't the ones with the highest gear. They're the ones who consistently make smart decisions. Mistake number 4. Playing alone forever. MMORPGs are built around community. While you can absolutely enjoy solo content, you'll eventually reach a point where having friends or a guild makes everything easier. Whether it's finding dungeon groups, asking questions, learning raid mechanics, or simply having people to chat with while playing, a good community makes the game far more enjoyable. Don't be afraid to join a guild that's friendly to newer players. Everyone was new once. Mistake number 5. Burning yourself out. This is probably the most important mistake to avoid. Many players hit max level and immediately start playing 10 hours a day because they feel like they have to keep up with everyone else. A week later, they're exhausted. They stop having fun, and eventually they quit. Remember, Conquest of Azeroth isn't a race. There's always another dungeon to run, another raid to complete, another upgrade to chase. Progress at your own pace. Enjoy the journey. The game isn't going anywhere. Create your weekly endgame routine. If you're wondering what a productive week should look like, Here's a simple roadmap that works for most players. When you first log in each week, check for any weekly objectives or activities that reward valuable gear or progression. After that, spend some time running dungeons to improve your equipment and become more comfortable with your class. If you're interested in raiding, dedicate time to preparing beforehand. Bring consumables. Repair your gear. Review boss mechanics. Outside of group content, work on your professions whenever you have free time. Gather materials. Craft useful items. Or earn some extra gold through the auction house. If you enjoy PvP, mix in a few battlegrounds or arenas throughout the week. Even if PvP isn't your main focus, it's a great way to improve your awareness, reaction time, and understanding of your class. Finally, don't forget to spend some time simply enjoying the game. Explore, collect cosmetics, help newer players, experiment with different builds. Some of the best moments in MMORPGs happen when you're not chasing gear at all. Your in-game progression roadmap. So if I were starting on a brand new max level character today, this is the order I'd recommend following. Step 1. Learn your complete class rotation. Step 2. Replace any remaining leveling gear with proper endgame upgrades. Step 3. Start completing easier max level content consistently. Step 4. Build a reliable source of gold through professions or other activities. Step 5. Optimize your talents and understand your stat priorities. Step 6. Join an active guild or community. Step 7. Begin running more challenging dungeons. Step 8. Prepare for raids by learning mechanics and bringing consumables. Step 9. Continue improving your gear one upgrade at a time. Step 10. Set long-term goals instead of worrying about instant progress. Following a roadmap like this helps you avoid feeling lost after reaching max level and gives you a clear direction every time you log in. Final thoughts. One thing I want every new player to remember is this. Reaching max level isn't the end of your journey. It's the beginning of your real adventure. Everything you've done so far has been preparing you for the content that comes next. You'll continue improving your character, learning new encounters, meeting new players, finding better gear, trying new builds, and discovering mechanics you didn't even know existed. That's what makes MMORPGs so rewarding. There is always another goal waiting for you. Don't compare your progress to players who've been playing for months. Focus on improving a little bit every time you log in. Small improvements eventually become huge progress. And that's my complete roadmap for what you should do after reaching max level in Project Ascension, Conquest of Azeroth. If you follow the steps we covered today, you'll avoid the mistakes that slow down so many new players and set yourself up for success in dungeons, raids, PvP, and everything else the endgame has to offer. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more Conquest of Azeroth content. I've got more class guides, leveling tips, in-game strategies, tier lists, and build videos coming very soon. And now I want to hear from you. What was the first thing you did after reaching max level? And what do you think new players should prioritize? Share your advice in the comments. You might help someone who's just starting their in-game journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.